Hello and welcome to another captivating weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your guide to today's enlightening journey. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are on a mission to tackle a persistent issue, mosquito breeding sites left behind by recent rainfall. Join us as we explore solutions to reclaim our spaces and protect our communities from these pesky invaders. Thanks for staying with us. From devastating hurricanes to disruptive weather systems, the aftermath often leaves a lingering problem: standing water. In our homes, this water becomes trapped in plant pots and containers, unwittingly becoming breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Today, we embark on a mission to reclaim our spaces from these pesky invaders.
Mosquitoes are undoubtedly annoying, with their irritating sound and stinging bites. But there are more compelling reasons we'd rather not have them around. Several species are carriers of diseases and a threat to human health. Of most significance to Jamaica is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, known to transmit dengue fever, chikungunya, yellow fever, and the Zika virus. Only female mosquitoes bite, doing so to get the blood they need for egg production. And therefore, only female mosquitoes transmit these viruses.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is what we call a timid feeder. So she's easily disturbed when feeding. It means that in one night, she may feed on several persons before she takes her complete blood meal. Each time she feeds, she secretes that substance. And in the secretion of the substance, the pathogen is passed on. So in one night, one female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to infect more than one person.
The female Aedes aegypti mosquito is a prolific breeder.
One female Aedes aegypti mosquito is able to lay up to 200 eggs each time she lays her eggs. So one mosquito can populate an entire area.
The lifespan of the mosquito is around 3 weeks, and the entire cycle from egg to adult can occur in as little as 7 to 8 days. Female mosquitoes are ready to mate within a few hours after reaching their adult stage, and males are usually ready within 24 hours.
This mosquito prefers cleaner waters. For the female mosquitoes, she will lay her eggs in water, and for the Aedes, it will be water which is in and around the household.
So while there are a number of things we can and should do to prevent being bitten, the most effective way to prevent the spread of diseases by these mosquitoes is to prevent their breeding.
The Aedes aegypti mosquito is a mosquito that breeds in a containerized environment. They do not breed in rivers and drains, but they breed in containers that can be found in and around where persons dwell. So come with us and let us show you some of those breeding sites. This is a typical dish drainer that we find in most homes. And under most dish drainer is a tray that collects the water that comes off the dishes. And believe it or not, we have found breeding in several homes in these dish drainers. Yes. You can see that we have water that has settled. If this water does not evaporate quickly, it can lend itself to the breeding of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So you not only have to empty the dish drainer, but you have to scrub to remove those eggs. This is the typical saucer that we will find under a plant. The rain has recently fallen, it has collected water, and right now it is steaming with the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Do you have some of these in your home? Aedes aegypti prefers water that is a little bit on the cleaner side, and it's found in a shaded environment. So what should we do with something like this? It's quite simple. You need to throw away the water. And if these containers are not being used, you have to keep them turned down so they're not able to collect water. If you have them under your plants, we ask that you bore holes in them so that it will not collect water. Do you have these in your homes? We find these in a lot of hotels and business places. And we ask those persons, check these bird baths or any ornamental things like these you have in your garden to ensure that they are not breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito. There are things like this thrown down in person's backyard. Old equipment, old furniture, old fixtures that are taken from homes, especially during construction. These are also able to hold water. And if they're holding water and sit for a while in the environment, they will also breed mosquitoes. And so we have found breeding in wheelbarrows, in old refrigerator, in old sinks such as this one. And we ask persons, if you're throwing out these, please ensure that they are positioned in such a way that they will not collect water.
Many persons, when they do have their drums, most times drums do not have any covers. So there is a mesh cover which is so designed to replace the missing covers. It is lightweight, and what we do is just simply slip it over, and the mesh is so designed mosquitoes will not be able to go through this mesh to get to the water. So this is the ideal way. One of the benefits also of this mesh is that even when rain does fall, water will go right through it. This is a typical example where this we have is a plastic drum and we have a metal cover here which is not designed for this. Whilst in some practice the intent is good, there may be occasions in which it does not fit or sit properly, and as a result you still have openings where mosquitoes can go right through and breed.
The mosquito is breeding right there in some very small places right around where you live. What is the habit we want you to develop? Once every week, search for and destroy the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Hurricane Beryl has been hot news for the past few days, but it is certainly not the only storm predicted for this above normal hurricane season. To understand how the experts are able to track these weather systems and give us up-to-date information, let's venture into the eye of the storm with the hurricane hunters. Join us on a gripping journey through the heart of nature's fury as these fearless aviators navigate the turbulent skies in pursuit of vital data.
The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1 through to November 30. These dates historically describe the period when most tropical cyclones form in the Atlantic basin. A number of tools are used, like satellites, radars, and computer models, to determine where a hurricane will go and how intense it will be. But a critical part of forecasting is done by the specially equipped NOAA aircrafts called Hurricane Hunters, which collect data through high-flying meteorological stations.
That will be transmitted back to the Hurricane Center and then made available to all the region, including Jamaica.
WC-130J Hercules is a high-wing, medium-range aircraft used in weather reconnaissance missions. This plane is configured to penetrate tropical disturbances and storms, as well as hurricanes and winter storms, and get data on the movement, size, and intensity of these systems. The NOAA Gulfstream model, nicknamed Gonzo, is a high-tech, high-flying, and high-speed twin-engine jet that flies around and over developing tropical cyclones to create a detailed picture of the surrounding upper atmosphere. It has a range of nearly 4,000 nautical miles and a cruising altitude of 45,000 feet. The Lockheed model, nicknamed Kermit, is in a class by itself. Formulated with unique scientific instrumentation, radars, and recording systems, The Kermit is able to do horizontal and vertical scans of storms.
So we'll have two meteorologists sit up front there. The person in the left seat is usually verifying the dropson data that we're collecting. The person on the right is helping with navigation. The station behind that is where our radar operator sits. So we've got a radar in the nose and a radar in the tail collecting data for us. This is where all of our data systems reside. And then back here is where we're actually dropping the songs. So we'll prepare one of the songs here, pass it over to that guy, he'll prepare it there just so we have a backup just in case this computer goes dead or that computer goes dead. Once the song is ready to go, close the door.
Cutting through the eye wall of a hurricane, lashed by extreme winds, dazzling rain, and fierce updrafts and downdrafts before entering the calm of the storm, probing every wind and pressure change during the course of 8 to 10 hours. So why aren't these aircrafts torn apart during these flights? Well, they are generally not destroyed by strong winds while in flight. It's the sheer or sudden change in horizontal or vertical winds that can destroy an aircraft or cause its loss of control. That's why NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft don't fly through tornadoes, but they are always monitoring for hotspots of severe weather and shear that they can often identify on radar and avoid if it's too severe.
We are always in direct communication with the National Hurricane Center. As soon as they get the information, we speak to them, they tell us what is happening, and so when we are ready to issue a warning, if we feel that we are threatened, we communicate that to the Hurricane Center. We are ready to issue a warning, what do you think? And we take that decision and they make it public to all the countries, not only in the region, but even wider than that through the internet and other means.
Let's put a pause on the storm-related talk and look at something a bit lighter, yet very much serious too. It has to do with the creations of your mind and ensuring you see the financial returns for them. Creatives often find themselves in limbo when it comes to their creative rights. Let's explore the entities in Jamaica that are dedicated to helping creatives protect their intellectual property rights.
There's a land that I have heard about.
Every piece of creative work is designed with intent and holds high intrinsic value. It deserves to be protected. Understanding the intrinsic value of the work produced and ensuring the creator's rights are not infringed is what we will learn in this masterclass on intellectual property rights. Let's go. Intellectual property, IP, deals with the protection of legal rights for the original creations of the mind. This can range from the scientific, industrial, literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, or other fields. There are three major forms of protection for intellectual property: copyright, patents, and trademarks. In this feature, the focus will be on copyright and related rights. In Jamaica, there are two main pieces of legislation that govern the protection of copyrights in general: the Copyright Act and the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office Act. The Intellectual Property Office Act outlines the function of the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office JIPO, the body responsible for ensuring that intellectual property rights (IPR) are protected. JIPO is tasked with ensuring the protection, administration, and enforcement of IPRs as a national economic growth and development responsibility. Let's learn how copyright helps to protect your creative works. Copyright is one of the more widely known terms associated with intellectual property rights. It covers the creators of works in the literary, artistic, musical, dramatic, and other design fields. Copyright makes it possible for these creators to have exclusive rights to use or authorize use of their work on agreed terms. A work is copyright protected automatically once created and must be original in nature. This principle was adopted from the International Copyright Convention, the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works, of which Jamaica is a party. Another important layer of copyright protection is using the copyright symbol to give an official notice of ownership of your work. This is done by using the copyright symbol, the date of creation, which is usually the year, plus your name or entity, followed by an optional notice such as all rights reserved. There are two main rights that are covered under copyright: economic rights and moral rights. Economic rights protect the financial value of the works and allow creators to earn from its use. Meanwhile, moral rights protect the right to the use of the work. They help to moderate the ways in which the work can be used and restrict revisions to a work. The length of time for copyright protection varies in different countries. Under the Berne Treaty, of which Jamaica is a party, along with another 180 countries, copyright holders will receive protection in these territories subjected to their national laws. In Jamaica, the protection for literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works lasts for the lifetime of the author, plus 95 years after his or her death. Copyright for sound recordings and films lasts for 95 years from the end of the year in which it was made available to the public. The protection for cable programs and broadcasts lasts for 95 years from the end of the year when the program was included in a cable program service or the broadcast was made. The protection for typographic arrangement, such as books, lasts for 50 years from the year in which the edition was first published. All works enter the public domain once copyright ends, and are therefore no longer protected under intellectual property rights law. Musicians, actors performing a play, and a publishing or distribution company do have a say when it comes to the recognition of their rights too. Though they are not the authors of the work, they have neighboring rights or related rights. Related rights protect the legal interests of persons or entities who have contributed to the recording or creation of the work available to the public. Three categories of people are normally recognized for related rights: performers, producers of sound recordings, and broadcasting companies. They receive the recognition of a copyright-like property right protection for their participation in creating the work. Jamaica is a land known for its creative output, ranging from reggae music to art pieces.
Songwriters and musicians need to protect their intellectual property. Our songwriters, musicians must recognize the value of their intellectual property, must learn how to harness it for their wealth and the wealth and benefit of the nation, and yes, must take steps to protect their intellectual property in their own effort to secure your own future.
Section 31 of the Copyright Act of Jamaica states that copyright is infringed by any person who, without a license, the copyright owner does in relation to that work any of the acts that the copyright owner has the exclusive right to do pursuant to Section 9. The Section 9 rights, which is to copy the work, issue the work to the public, distribute the work, make an adaptation of the work, make the work available on demand, which is to make the work available on the internet. So anyone who infringes the copyright in a work can be penalized by way of a fine, depending on the jurisdiction of the court, or even imprisonment. Before 2015, people would constantly call to us, how do I protect my copyright in a work? And the answer would be copyright protection arises automatically. And people would be like, and that's it? So we live in a society that we like to have something in our hand. And so in 2015, in response to the general public inquiries, and we have the voluntary copyright register, which an individual can deposit with us, a minimal fee, so creators can utilize this register and deposit their work. And they'll receive a certificate upon completing the application process, and this certificate can be used as supporting evidence in court should the work be infringed.
Collective Management Organizations, CMOs, are entities that enable rights holders to manage their rights and the use of their work. They act as agents for copyright holders collecting royalties, which is monies for the use of their work. They do this by issuing licenses for a fee to use protected works. They also track the use of works and request payment for its use. There are 3 active CMOs in Jamaica: Jamaica Music Society JAMS, Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers JCAP, and the Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency JamCopy. Let's learn how the CMOs in Jamaica support our local creatives. The Jamaica Music Society JAMS is an organization that represents sound recording copyright holders, which includes record producers and record labels.
Now that you have produced the recording, you're now going to release the recording. And so you have the right to distribute. So he now finds a digital distributor or a traditional distributor, and he gets the work out. It gets placed on all the retail platforms, Spotify, etc., Rhapsody, etc., all of the retail platforms online. And if he's still fortunate, maybe he can find 1 or 2 physical locations, stores, where he wants to put some copies in if he actually makes physical copies. So he has a right to distribute. And so he goes ahead and he does that. And from that distribution that he has taken on, he will then be entitled to a flow of royalties coming in through to him via the digital distributor or via the distributor, full stop. So Spotify will send the money to the distributor or through probably several different intermediaries in that process. And the distributor would then end up paying the producer his share or her share of monies from that sale.
The Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, is a membership society for composers, authors and music publishers, otherwise known as the primary rights holders.
So the most important thing in terms of earning in today's world is actually streaming, download. And we still deal with the analog side, which is public performance. So download has practically, I won't say eliminate, but has taken over from the selling of CDs. Public performance will remain because that's where we have mostly our live events. And to state that JCAP is able to collect on any form of music usage. So recorded music, live music, even music in comedy shows, etc. You do need a permit to be able to use the music.
The Jamaica Copyright Licensing Agency JamCopy is the entity responsible for the protection of rights for published, printed and image-based works.
We follow the same cycle of activity as the other 2 CMOs. We obtain mandates, meaning that we go after the authors and publishers, that they come to us and they give us the authorization to act on their behalf. We then license the users, and our users are UWI, UTech, Edna Manley, Shortwood Teachers College, all of the public primary and secondary schools under the Ministry of Education. So just about 95% of all the educational institutions in Jamaica. We then collect the licenses and then we distribute them as royalties.
It's important to learn and understand the value of protecting your creative work. Contact a CMO to learn more and get started.
Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding. Mosquitoes will breed in any container that holds water.
Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, barrels, buckets and tanks. If this cannot be done, pour cooking oil on the water surface. Punch holes in all tins, plastics and beverage boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover all tires or fill with dirt to prevent water collection. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs. Use mosquito repellents to protect yourself from mosquito bites. Dispose of garbage properly by placing in plastic bags and securing properly to prevent water collection.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We're on the path to transformation, our third town hall. And let me tell you, as we engage, the goal is for us to listen to you, to hear from you, to learn from you, and also to provide information to you. So there's an increase in path allocation, 28.8% this year, which means that we have more than $10 billion to allocate to our most important program. Through these town halls, we want you to be open and honest. We want you to tell us what you feel. Whether it sound good, whether it sound tough, we are here to listen. Because at the end of this conversation, we're going to take everything you've said and we're going to design a better path program. A path program that is more responsive, more effective, more efficient. Intergenerational cycle of poverty is broken. And that's the goal when we talk about creating an equitable society. We are creating a society where parents will be proud in saying, my children are better off than me. Now, as we transform path, there are a number of things that we're going to be doing. We will, of course, firstly, as we have done in phase 1, speak to our staff members, speak to our clients directly. In phase 2, which we are in now, we have these town halls and other engagements where we will be able to hear from you, you'll be able to hear from us. And after that, the goal is now to make sure that we can set up 2 technical working groups, which have been designed already, that will focus on taking all of the information, your recommendations, and looking on them from 1, a perspective of the technical design of path, and 2, looking on the rules of the program. We're looking to improve the structure of path. We're looking to improve the systems. We're looking to improve the efficiency, timeliness of the delivery of service.
As we conclude today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we trust you enjoyed our enlightening features. Remember, the hurricane season continues. Take the necessary precautions and stay safe. Stay in touch with JIS by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm, and connecting with us on social media. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, wishing you a fantastic weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.